This is the Wannabe Saints podcast, where we take virtues and try to break them down so they become tangible and applicable to your life.
We aren't here to bring you advice, we're here to bring you virtue. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Rachel.
We're your hosts,
and this is Wannabe Saints. Welcome back to Wannabe Saints, everybody. We have a new thing that we're going to be doing this time together. I did a mini-series without Jordan when she was on maternity leave, basically. And now we're going to do it together. So for a mini summer series, we are doing the cardinal virtues. So that is prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance. So the first one we were going to start with is prudence. So, ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. We're reading a script, just so everyone knows. We wrote this, and so we're just going to be reading it. So, all right. Before we dive into this new mini-series on the cardinal virtues, we should probably start there itself. What are the four cardinal virtues? The four cardinal virtues are prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance. The word cardinal comes from the Latin word cardo, meaning hinge. These four virtues are the hinge upon which all the other moral virtues come from. Unlike the theological virtues, faith, hope, and charity, which are infused into us by God, the cardinal virtues are developed through education, action, discipline, and perseverance, though God also perfects them through His grace. St. Thomas Aquinas teaches that the goal of becoming virtuous is ultimately to become like God. The four cardinal virtues are a part of the architecture of the soul being transformed by God. So, when we begin to advance in the spiritual life, it makes sense that we begin there.
Each of these four virtues govern a different part of the human person. Justice governs the will. Fortitude governs the irascible appetite. Temperance governs the concupiscible appetite. Prudence governs the intellect. Today, we are starting with prudence. Why begin there? Well, prudence is known as the charioteer of virtues. Picture this for a moment. A charioteer is the person who drives the chariot. They are the one holding the reins, directing the horses, and steering the whole vehicle towards its destination. Prudence does the same thing in moral life. It guides temperance. It guides justice, and it guides fortitude. All of these virtues are powerful and important, but without prudence, they can become disordered.
Take courage, for example. Courage without prudence can turn someone into a bulldozer. If you have courage but lack prudence, you may rush headstrong into arguments, conflicts, or obstacles without considering whether that is actually the best course of action. Prudence helps direct courage. It helps you choose the right words, the right timing, and even whether something needs to be said at all. Prudence transforms courage into rightly ordered courage. The same is true with temperance. We may think we are practicing something good and holy, but without prudence, we can become rigid and unbalanced. Prudence helps us maintain the proper balance in our pursuit of virtue. And with justice, we may become passionate seekers of what is right, but without prudence, we can struggle to discern what we truly owe another person and what they owe us.
So yes, the horses are powerful, but without the driver, they can run in any direction. This image is one the Church gives us to help us understand the right ordering of the human person. Prudence governs the intellect. That means prudence begins with the formation of our minds. We form our intellect through prayer, study, spiritual reading, confession, the sacraments, and wisdom of the Church. All of these help shape our intellect so that we can truly live a virtuous life. Living virtuously requires us to look inward, not out of selfishness, but to ensure that we are becoming who God created us to be. Prudence is not selfishness. A person cannot give what they do not have. If we are not well ourselves, we cannot efficiently serve others. To act prudently is to care for your soul. to inform your intellect, and to grow in wisdom. That is not selfish. In fact, it is necessary. Prudence teaches us that self-formation is not self-absorption. There is a difference between looking inward in order to become holy and looking inward simply out of self-interest. The prudent person forms their intellect, examines their conscience, and grows in virtue so that they can better serve God and others. Ultimately, by forming yourself, you are preparing yourself for the good of others. Maybe someday you will guide a family. Maybe someday you will guide a parish, a ministry, a classroom, or a community. Maybe you will help lead others in their spiritual lives. All of us, as we grow in virtue, are called to help others grow in virtue as well. Whether you are a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a brother or a sister, a cousin, a priest, or a religious, we are all called at some point in our lives to help form others. But to help others grow, we must first continue growing ourselves. We must develop our intellect. We must govern our intellect. And as prudence forms our intellect, it enables us to become courageous through fortitude, rightly ordered in justice, and balanced in temperance.
So now, back to prudence. We know that prudence governs the intellect, but what does that actually mean? There are many misconceptions when it comes to prudence. We often hear people describe prudence as being cautious, discreet, timid, or overly careful. But if that's what prudence is not, then let's begin with what the Church says it truly is. Paragraph 1806 of the Catechism teaches, quote, "Prudence is the virtue that disposes practical reason to discern our true good in every circumstance and to choose the right means of achieving it," end quote. A few key words stand out here: discern, good, choose, and achieve. Prudence, simply put, is discernment ordered toward action. And that's not just Jordan and I saying that. St. Thomas Aquinas says it as well. Prudence involves discernment in all things. It is the ability to see reality clearly, judge rightly, and then act accordingly. But in our world today, I think discernment has become somewhat distorted. We talk about discerning jobs, discerning of vocations, discerning colleges, discerning relationships, discerning whether to have children, and so on. And all of that is good. Discernment is necessary, but many times we stay in a perpetual state of discernment and never arrive at prudence. We hear people say they're discerning the priesthood while simultaneously refusing to move toward a decision. We hear people say they're discerning a job offer for months or years without ever taking a step forward. We become comfortable analyzing possibilities without ever committing ourselves to action. Discernment is good. Discernment is necessary. Discernment is what leads to prudence. But prudence is what takes discernment and brings it to completion. In order to live prudently, we must eventually act upon what we have discerned. We must have the courage to take the next step. We must be willing to move. A decision is not completed simply because it has been analyzed. Discernment reaches its completion when it has been implemented. In other words, prudence is discernment accomplished. There comes a point where we stop asking, "What should I do?" and begin asking, "Now that I know what I should do, am I willing to do it?"
This is where prudence enters. Father Mike Schmitz once said, "Never discern something in a time of turmoil." I think that's beautifully true, and it points directly back to prudence. If we are living prudently and we find ourselves in a season of confusion, anger, grief, fear, or emotional instability, prudence may tell us not to make a major decision yet. Prudence may tell us to pause, pray, seek counsel, and wait until we can see more clearly. The Lord is a God of peace, and prudence often leads us towards that peace. But notice something important. Even knowing when to discern itself is an act of prudence. Prudence helps us recognize not only what decision to make, but when a decision should be made. For example, imagine you've been dating someone for a month. Is it prudent to immediately decide whether you should give up everything, move across the country, and build your entire future around that person? Probably not. Would it be more prudent to continue getting to know them, to pray, to have conversations, to watch how the relationship develops and see where the Lord leads? Of course. That doesn't mean avoiding difficult conversations. Prudence is not procrastination. Some conversations need to happen immediately. Others need time. Prudence helps us discern the difference. It helps us recognize proper timing of things. Sometimes the next right step is action. Sometimes the next right step is waiting. Sometimes the next right step is gathering more information. The key is that prudence is always moving us towards the good.
So true discernment and true prudence are inseparable. Discernment allows us to discover what ought to be done. Prudence empowers us to accomplish it. Prudence takes discernment and puts legs underneath it. It takes what is known and makes it lived. It takes what is believed and makes it practiced. It takes what is discerned and turns it into action. Now, if all of that sounds overwhelming, don't worry. The beautiful thing about virtue is it's developed over time. No one wakes up one morning and suddenly becomes prudent. No one becomes wise overnight. Virtue is formed through thousands of small choices repeated over and over again, often with failures in between. And that's important to remember because when we hear everything Aquinas says about prudence, it can sound like an impossible standard. But Aquinas doesn't give us these principles to discourage us. He gives them to help us identify where we can grow. You may struggle in one area of prudence while being stronger in another. You may be excellent at seeking counsel, but poor at acting decisively. You may be good at learning from experience, but struggle to think ahead. The goal isn't perfection tomorrow, the goal is growth.
So how do we grow in prudence? Aquinas teaches that prudence is not one simple habit. Rather, prudence is made up of many interconnected parts that work together. In one of the richest sections of the Summa Theologia, Aquinas identifies 8 parts of prudence, 8 habits or virtues that together allow a person to make wise decisions and act wisely. Now, don't let the word parts confuse you. Think of it this way. If prudence is the engine of wise living, these are the components that make the engine run. Remove one of them, and prudence becomes weaker. Strengthen them, and prudence becomes stronger. The good news is that every one of these parts can be practiced. Every one of them can be developed. And every one of them gives us a practical way to grow in prudence starting today.
For this part, we're drawing from both St. Thomas Aquinas and Dr. Andrew Abella's book, Super Habits. What I love about Abella's work is that he takes Aquinas' insights and translates them into a language that is easier for us to understand and apply to modern life. So we're going to combine both approaches. Aquinas gives us the theological framework, and Abella gives us a more practical application of them. Together, they help us see prudence not as an abstract idea, but as something we can actually live. Both Aquinas and Abella agree that making a truly wise decision requires 3 things, and they must happen in this order. First, we gather the relevant information. Second, we draw the proper conclusions from that information. And third, we turn those conclusions into action. Every one of the 8 parts of prudence fits somewhere within those 3 steps. That's the architecture of prudence. That's how wisdom moves from an idea in the mind to the reality of your life.
So let's begin with the first part, memory. When Aquinas speaks about memory, he isn't talking about simply remembering facts. He is talking about learning from experience. Prudence cannot develop without experience because experience teaches us things no book ever can. Abella puts it beautifully. When we make painful or humiliating mistakes, we can either feel sorry for ourselves or learn from them and gain wisdom. Experience alone does not produce wisdom. Reflection on experience produces wisdom. A prudent person asks, "What did I learn from that? What mistakes do I not want to repeat?" Memory, as a virtue, is allowing your life to become your teacher.
The second part of prudence is understanding, sometimes called judgment. Aquinas describes this as the ability to rightly assess present circumstances. It's one thing to know that patience is a virtue. It's another thing to recognize that patience is required right now, in this situation with this person. Abella calls this judgment bringing the right principles to bear on the reality in front of you. A prudent person asks, "What does this situation actually require of me?"
The third part of prudence is docility or teachability. This is not weakness, it is humility. For Aquinas, docility is the willingness to learn from people whose judgment has proven trustworthy. No one is wise enough to figure everything out alone. No one is mature enough to stop learning. A prudent person seeks counsel, listens well, and remains teachable.
The fourth part of prudence is solertia, which Abella translates as creativity. This is the habit of finding solutions when no obvious solution exists. When life presents something unexpected, prudent people don't panic. They begin searching. They ask, "What am I not seeing? What possibilities haven't I considered?" Creativity is not merely a personality trait, it is a virtue that can be cultivated.
The fifth part of prudence is reason. Reason is the bridge between information and action. It's the habit of drawing the right conclusion from what you've learned. Many bad decisions happen not because people lack information, but because they never stop to ask what that information actually means. A prudent person thinks before acting.
The sixth part of prudence is circumspection. Circumspection is the habit of considering all relevant circumstances before acting. Many decisions fail because something important was overlooked. A prudent person asks, "What am I missing? What else needs to be considered?" It is the habit of seeing the whole picture.
The seventh part of prudence is foresight. Aquinas calls this providentia, to see ahead. Foresight keeps our eyes fixed on the destination. It asks, "Where is this leading? Will this bring me closer to God?" Without foresight, we can make good decisions in the moment and still end up somewhere we never intended to go. Foresight is the compass of prudence.
The final part of prudence is caution. And caution is not fear. Caution is preparation. It is the habit of anticipating obstacles before they arise. Notice that caution comes last. Prudence is not primarily about avoiding risk. Prudence is about pursuing the good wisely. The prudent person looks ahead, prepares well, and then acts. That is not fear, that is wisdom. Together, these 8 parts help us gather information, draw wise conclusions, and act on them. That is prudence in action.
Now, after all that, don't let it overwhelm you. Remember, Peter followed Jesus more closely than perhaps any other person in history. For 3 years, he walked with him. He watched Jesus heal the sick. He watched him raise the dead. He watched him calm storms with a word. He watched him feed thousands. He watched him cast out demons. Jesus called Peter out onto the water, and Peter walked toward him. Peter lived with Jesus day after day for 3 years. And yet Peter still failed. Peter still denied him 3 times. Think about that for a moment. If anyone had every advantage for growth in virtue, it was Peter. If anyone should have gotten it right, it was Peter. And yet he still stumbled. Why?
Because virtue is not perfected overnight. Virtue is a lifelong process of being transformed by God. Now, I'm not saying that as an excuse to fail I'm saying it because many of us become discouraged when we fail. We fall into sin again, we make another poor decision, we lose our temper, we fail to act when we should have acted, we act when we should have waited, and suddenly we begin to believe that we are incapable of becoming virtuous. But that's not the lesson of Peter. The lesson of Peter is not that he failed. The lesson is that he got back up, again and again and again. After denying Christ, Peter did not remain in his failure. He returned to the Lord. He repented, he received mercy, and he continued forward.
That is the Christian life. The Christian life is not falling. The Christian life is not never making mistakes. The Christian life is continually returning to Christ and allowing Him to transform us. So if you listen to these 8 parts of Prudence and immediately recognize areas where you struggle, good. That's not a reason for discouragement. It's actually a gift. Because now you know where the Lord may be inviting you to grow. Maybe your challenge is teachability. Maybe it's foresight. Maybe it's reasoning. Maybe it's caution. Maybe it's learning from past mistakes. Wherever it is, begin there. Growth and virtue happens one step at a time, one decision at a time, one act of faithfulness at a time. The goal is not perfection tomorrow. The goal is progress towards holiness. The goal is sainthood. And that's exactly what the Lord is calling each one of us to. Not simply to be better people, not simply to make better decisions, but ultimately to become saints.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. We hope you enjoyed the first of our 4 episodes of our mini-series on the cardinal virtues. If you liked this episode and you want to hear more things like these reflections, leave us a comment, email us, and all of our links are in our show notes. And so thank you for listening. And as always, we hope this helps you grow in virtue.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share us if you enjoy this also.
Leave a rate and review, and until next time,
bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Wannabe Saints podcast.
If you have a question or topic you would like us to cover, reach out to us at wannabesaintspodcast@gmail.com or on Instagram at wannabe_saints.
You can find the link in our show notes.
Thanks for listening, and God bless.